Gracefully and Frankly is made possible by the generous support of Sierra Sil. What's Sierra Sil and why do you need it? We're glad you asked. They are all-natural anti-inflammatory capsule spray and even pet treats that promise you'll feel a difference in your joint pain or just watch your elderly dog for results like we did, jumping up on the bed. There's a money-back guarantee. Sierra Sil has worked for our family, humans too. So what do you have to lose but the pain?
And you do get that money-back guarantee. Check it all out on the website, sierrasil.com. Sierra like the mountains, SIL.com. And use the code GF for 10% off.
Well, here we go. Episode 83 of Gracefully and Frankly. I'm Erin Davis.
I'm Lisa Brandt. Thank you so much for joining us this week. We have a lot of ground to cover, including what we're going to do to a chicken.
Lisa was so excited about this chicken tip that she said, don't look it up. I'm going to talk about it. And so we're going to hear about it. And I love being surprised, too. The gentle surprise of a 50-cent ice cream and how it can simply make your day or your week. But the not-so-gentle surprise about shrinkflation.
Yeah, a study that found which products are actually getting shrinkflated. And we'll talk about that.
Shrunkflated? Okay.
Yeah. I'm a word maker-upper. You know that.
You sure are. You're the goodest. Also, how changing your words, not just using the right ones, but using different terminology to be more gentle on yourself can really make all the difference.
And why COVID is different this time.
Oh, yeah.
It is back in waves, and we'll talk about that and how some things are the same and some things aren't.
Yeah, we'll also delve into a very public moment of, well, we don't say shame, but for her, it was a sign she needed to go into rehab. And yeah, a little personal reflection here too. Oh, we've got everything here. And, the chicken is just the
icing on the cake?
Well, yeah, okay, that is hopefully not your recipe, but we're just going to have to wait and find out. Okay.
I don't know what you think of, Kim Kardashian or Kelly Ripa, but I'll tell you, we can agree they have amazing hair.
Yes.
And they are both devotees to silk pillowcases. Did you know that?
Silk pillowcases. No, I did not know that.
So they carry their pillowcases with them everywhere. And I don't know that they're mulberry silk, which is the best because Envy Pillow uses mulberry silk for their pillowcases. And mulberry is better because the silkworms that make the silk eat only mulberry leaves. They're very particular, and it makes a longer strand, a better silk, and it's part of the Envy Pillow story. They care about making everything sustainable and being kind to the earth, and the silk pillowcase where you'll wake up with less bedhead and frizzy hair.
Yay! Find out more at envypillow.com. Use the code GF for 10% off. Lisa, somebody said there are decades when nothing happens, and then there are weeks where decades happen, and I think that was like the last 2 weeks. Holy doodle.
This is what I find amusing. Politics is supposed to be boring. You're supposed to have a couple of boring people out front, and, maybe one says, a chicken in every pot. And you go, okay, maybe that guy. Or you vote along party lines. And it's anything but boring. It's like a roller coaster ride.
Sunday, getting that alert we got ours from CBC News. They were on it that Biden was stepping down before Washington Post, New York Times. And, of course, we turned on MSNBC after a few minutes of just like, what? So this feeling of existential dread, because now what happens? But as the day went on, you got to see how angry Trump and his team were because they had spent millions of dollars in money and in the currency of time just attacking old Joe. And now guess who's the old guy in the race? So it's just the tables are turned.
I must be some kind of foolish because I thought, okay, now this is the time that Donald Trump is going to be presidential material and say, you know what, Joe, thanks for your service. Hey, see you later. What was I thinking?
No, Crooked Joe, the first thing that he put out there. Yeah.
And it was just a whole page of just attacking him. So I'll tell you what I did, the truth. I was napping when you had texted me to tell me that this had happened.
Old news people never die, Lisa. They just text everybody when things break.
That's right. And I got up and I thought, you know what? I decided I was going to write more. So I turned my phone over and I didn't look at it for another half an hour or so. And by then, Trump's statement was out. And then I just didn't anymore because all I'm going to do is start looking at people's comments. Okay, he's out. He suggested he's supporting Kamala. And then what's going to happen from then? It's going to be a lot of noise. Mm-hmm. That's how I viewed it.
Yeah.
And so I just decided to check out. A woman wrote to you, I think, something about anyone with a functioning brain would be anxious. And I so badly wanted to write back to her and going, well, I'm functioning, but I don't feel anxious about it. But I didn't. I just let it go because that's what I do anymore. I just scroll on past. I don't get involved.
Yeah. I saw somebody in my Facebook comments who was going on and on about how great Trump was, and her name was Susan something Simieski. And I'm only mentioning a name because someone that I follow on Threads, she actually screenshot someone, Brenda Ann Simieski. And I went, oh, this is just a Russian troll who gets paid every time his or her post gets some traction, and they're using their own last name. So well done, comrade. You get extra ruble today.
Yes, and that's true.
Watch for the trolls. Yeah, watch for the trolls.
They get you to interact, and they end up with another ruble.
Yeah. So, from rubles to bubbles. Remember COVID bubbles when you could only be with a few people? How about that? Joe Biden getting COVID, and it raises the conversation about COVID again. Do you know anybody who has or has had COVID in the past few months, Lisa?
Somebody I know did mention a COVID wave on social media, somebody I actually know in person, but that's the only mention of it I've heard. It's funny because I woke up with a really sore throat one day and I thought, this feels like it did when I got COVID. But no, I don't think I know anybody who has.
Oh, we know two people who got infected, one of them over 80, and he'd never had it, but he's doing okay, and he's health compromised, yeah. But certainly there's another wave of COVID going on, and this one is different. People are saying what feels different about it. As one writer says, the virus has felt like an entirely different illness each time I've tested positive. The first go-round of fever flattened me. Once I barely had any symptoms. That was Rob. And the worst infection, they write, left me wrung out on my couch, so exhausted I had to strain to pay attention to a podcast. So they're saying that no two COVID infections really have behaved the same.
What I've read, and I don't know if people are experiencing this, is that it's mutated so that it can stay alive.
Right.
But that it's just, if you've got your vaccinations and everything, that it's just not as severe. But we still have to be aware of spreading it to people who are vulnerable. So the advice is the same, to isolate for 5 days. Is that what you've read?
Absolutely. And the more times you encounter it, the faster you may feel sick. So many people get it and don't know they have it. I mean, a lot of people think if they got COVID once, they're immune and they're protected for the rest of their lives. But that's not true. And a lot of people say, but I got 7 shots. Yes, that's why you're not dead yet, you know?
Right. Very good point.
And not all the tests are showing. The tests that we have may not be the COVID that you have. So do take care, take it easy, practice what we used to practice, and keep masks handy.
We've talked about shrinkflation before, where a bottle or a package of something has gotten smaller, but the price is the same.
Yes.
The Toronto Star conducted a study to find out whether it's really a thing. They knew it was a thing, but where it's a thing. So you know when you're going grocery shopping where you're most likely to encounter it, and maybe you can pivot. So they took 20 items from Canada's Food Guide And they chose Metro, No Frills, and Walmart. And they compared the current prices with 2019 flyers and online ads. So they decided to skip COVID because COVID times were different. So they went back 5 years.
Okay.
All right. You with me so far?
Oh, absolutely.
They found that there were a lot of things that had no shrinkflation. Things with whole grains, bread, dark leafy vegetables, fruits, beans, nuts and seeds, seafood. Beverages with sugar in it. No name or store brand potato chips, none of them had shrunk or gone up in price. They were all exactly the same as they were 5 years ago.
Okay.
Then you get into red meat. Everybody knows red meat's gone up. Yogurt, oils, the worst. Lard. You want lard? Lard was hit the worst. Starchy vegetables, cheese, condiment sauces. Okay, here are the absolute worst.
If butter's on this list, I am so with you. Oh my God, I saw a half pound of butter for $7 the other day, Lisa, and I don't shop at Whole Foods.
Yeah, it's insane. Snacks, especially with chocolate, up almost 10%. 10% smaller and for more money. Baby and toddler food was the second in shrinkflation.
Come on.
That makes me so mad.
Oh.
One product, for example, these fruit sauce pouches, they're 25% smaller but the same price.
I know our granddaughter lived on those things for a while.
Chicken, any sort of processed chicken like Jane's frozen chicken products. Speaking of Jane, Jane's frozen chicken products, the worst of the bunch. Bacon, lunch meat, ham was the worst. If you buy a ham, you're paying more, and vegetable oil as well.
Wow.
And so that's just 20 things, right? They looked at these 20 items from the food guide that we're supposed to all have, but it's crazy. The ones that are bad are really, really bad. Now, okay, a snack with chocolate in it, fill your boots, and that will keep me away from it. But baby and toddler food, that's a necessity. It's not right.
No. This is a sidebar, Lisa. Can I take this off just a little bit?
Please.
You remember wagon wheels from your lunch when you were a kid? Everybody had them.
Always. Yep.
It may just be me, but I think they've gotten so much smaller. Or have my hands gotten bigger?
No, they are smaller. They're smaller.
Yes. Thank you.
Derek has noticed it as well. And it's not that your hands have gotten bigger. They are smaller. And I know everything seemed bigger when we were kids.
Yes, of course.
Are they good, though? Are they still good?
I don't know. The kids think so. They're like a s'more in one little handful. But that's interesting to see. Oh, there was a good sale on something the other night that was a complete surprise. We went out for a walk, nice July night, an easy summer evening. Decided to walk the dogs and take my sister-in-law. We didn't walk her. She walked on her own, no leash.
Oh, good.
And I said, let's go to Dairy Queen. So we did. And Rob goes in. He was looking for a cone. Now, Dairy Queen cones are something that make Rob, my husband, crabby. Why, you might ask? Because of the price. They're over $4 for a little ice cream cone, and it makes him furious because unfortunately, or fortunately, we're old enough to remember when it was nothing like that. So he comes out, he said, it's National Ice Cream Day. These were 50 cents. Isn't it nice when something happens like that?
It sure is. Happy Ice Cream Day.
Yeah.
Was it as good as you remember?
Oh, I had a taste of his. Absolutely it was. And the best part was I didn't have to listen to him kvetch all the way home about the price of a Dairy Queen ice cream. It's ice cream. Just eat it or don't buy it. Sometimes you just have to be nice to yourself, and whether that includes a sugary treat or something that's not usually on your list of things that you indulge in, it's nice to do that. And last week I did something nice for myself too and went away to Main Island, as we told you here. And I was talking about it being, running away, getting away. And a listener who's become a friend thanks to a visit here named Gwyneth, she said, reframe this as not getting away, but giving yourself the time. And when you do it like that, it seems more like you're giving yourself a gift rather than doing something you shouldn't be doing. You know?
That's interesting. It's just reframing it. It's the same thing, but a different way of looking at it. Someone has been on, well, mostly Canadians for saying I'm sorry, or women for saying I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And they've done sort of the same thing. Instead of showing up and saying, oh, I'm sorry, I'm late. If you're 3 minutes late, say, thank you for waiting for me. And it changes the whole thing, and it takes any shame or anything away. I love that. You're giving yourself time.
Yeah. It's like you writing all day the other day, turning your phone over. When you approach it like, I have to write today, it's, I get to write today.
Exactly.
Your husband's away. It's a hot day. You want to stay inside. I get to write today.
Yeah.
And it's a gift.
It's an indulgence. It's a gift. It's so good for the soul and the spirit. So what did you think of Main Island?
I loved it. I can't recommend it as a destination because you know what I did? Nothing. I parked my car in the parking lot at the resort, Main Island Resort, which I really do recommend. It's got cabins, it's a hotel, it's villas and stuff. And I didn't get, a break or anything in the price. I'm not endorsing. I'm not an influencer by any means. But it was just what I needed. And there are things to see on the island. I didn't see one of them. I want to save it until either you and I go or Rob and I go. For this, it was just to sit on my butt. I got to write. I got to edit. I got to help put together this fantastic podcast of ours. And I got to watch an entire series on Prime. I just got to do what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And that included not getting out. I didn't want to go, so I didn't go.
Right, and nor should you. That was the point. Good. I'm glad to hear it.
Yeah, it was wonderful. Well, and while we're talking about gifts to ourselves, it's been really heartwarming to see the number of people who are emailing us, gracefullyfrankly@gmail.com, to let us know that they have told a friend to subscribe to our Gracefully and Frankly Facebook page and be eligible for a really nice heart necklace with the GNF on them that we're going to be giving away on August 8th.
Yeah, they came from England because England was the only place that had these hearts like we have in our logo. It's just that simple. Send the 2 names after you invite your friend to the Facebook page, and we will be giving them away completely at random on August 8th at 8 o'clock Eastern during our Facebook Live. And we're still looking for things for us to talk about or share, discuss, whatever. We're looking for ideas, so send those too.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, the email is gracefullyfrankly. We couldn't afford the and in our email address. gracefullyfrankly@gmail.com. And, of course, the Facebook page is Gracefully and Frankly. Well, a lot of people on social media last week were talking about the debacle of the national anthem at the All-Star Game.
This young woman, Ingrid Andress, I've gone back and checked out some of her work because I knew nothing about her. Country singer, and she's quite talented. She's got a couple of beautiful songs out. And
a whack of Grammy nominations.
Yeah, and it was just so sad to see and to hear what she did to the anthem. When I hear somebody like that, Roseanne aside, her performance years ago, I always think, well, I can't sing well, and I would never get up in front of people. And I thought maybe it was her monitor, or maybe her in-ear thing, she couldn't hear herself. No. And first off, from an insider who has done a number of Blue Jays anthems, and the American one, the trick to that is you always start low. Yeah.
Oh, say, can you see? Because it's a couple of octaves. So that's the first thing. But the second thing is, at the Blue Jay games, they are always pre-recorded to prevent something like this. But hers was not. It was live. And, of course, at an event of that stature, it really should be live. You should be able to perform it. Whitney Houston will always be the gold standard for anthems and set it impossibly high for everybody else. But, it was terrible.
Well, until she said that she was drunk and planned to go to rehab, it never crossed my mind that she would come out blitzed. But when I think back to my drinking days, the drinking was all about being in front of people and being around people. So it kind of makes sense, I guess, if she has a problem.
There were 2 scenarios that I could see unfolding. One was partying all day with the players, with everybody, because it's All-Star. It's just a big party. Nothing serious. Everything's fun. So, she maybe just went to party after party after party. And the other thing is not only being in front of a crowd, because I never had a problem with that, but as an alcoholic, I would self-sabotage. And I wonder if she knew this is your big break. This is like a band going on Saturday Night Live. Do not F this up because it is really big exposure. And something inside her said, you're not worthy. That was me.
So how did that manifest in you?
Well, the most blatant example was when I was chosen to be the Grand Marshal of the Toronto St. Patrick's Day Parade, which, as you remember, it's a tradition every year in Toronto, and I was honored. It was after my comeback, after being fired and then hired back at CHFI, and, read the book.
Yeah.
Ancient history, 20 years ago. But I knew going in, I thought, do not screw this up, Davis. Do not get drunk. Well, there was a party the night before, and I didn't. I was perfect. I shook everybody's hands, hugs, photos, everything, and then went back to the room and drank. And Rob was there, and I think he said, I thought you said you weren't going to drink. And then I was like, I'm fine, don't worry about it. So the next day, the day of the parade, I'm slightly hungover, going through the streets of Toronto, and the weather for the St. Patrick's Day Parade was always worse than the Santa Claus Parade in terms of being cold.
Yeah.
And then I was invited to the after party at a really well-known Irish bar. I had great times with all of the people who organized the parade who had given up drinking for Lent, but God understood St. Patrick's Day was a day off. Go figure. And then went upstairs where they brought out the really good Irish whiskey.
Oh.
I'm not an Irish whiskey drinker. I had eaten absolutely zero that day. So I'm sitting up at the bar, and they keep pouring me these glasses of Irish whiskey, and I'm drinking it neat. Pretty soon I was anything but neat. And when I went to stand up, Lisa, I literally fell onto the floor. And we're all laughing. Oh, boy, that was stronger than we thought. And then you have to get down this teeny tiny stairway to get down to the street level to get poured into a cab. And somehow I made it down those stairs. I'm not sure how, but I did have help. And then this is the really tough part. I had no recollection of how I got into the condo. I woke up the next morning. I called into the station. I had absolutely no voice. Spoke to our producer, Gord, and said, Gord, I can't make it in. And then Cooper's in the background going, oh, great. He was mad at me.
Yeah.
And sure enough, I came in, I got up, the guilt, still made it through all of the drunkenness. 7:30, I go into the station. I had no voice left. I blamed it on yelling and stuff. And I sabotaged myself by wrecking the show the next day, not having the memories that I should have been able to share with everybody. And it turns out that I passed out in the elevator, and Rob had to physically drag me down the hall and into the condo, and it's why my underarms hurt like my arms had been torn off.
Oh, man.
Can you imagine that that's how one of the greatest nights of my life and my career ended because I couldn't say no to the whiskey at the bar? That should have been the day that I started getting sober, but it was 3 months after that, and then I did for 10 years.
Yeah, though, everybody's bottom is different, and it's funny how we rationalize it sometimes too. I never thought of it as liquid courage until I look back years later, but it's funny how somebody's lowest point, or it looks like their lowest point, might not be their lowest point. They still have farther to go.
Yeah.
So glad I don't drink. Just so grateful every day that I got sober.
Me too. And it's the next day where you think, what did I say? That was always my thing, the shame, right? Oh my God.
Same here.
What did I do? What did I say?
Yep. I don't know if you were like this routinely, but for me, drinking was something I did till I passed out. There was no, I should switch to water now.
Yeah, there's no off switch.
No.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, so that was frequent. Yeah, what did I say? What did I do? Oh, no, I hope I didn't do anything embarrassing.
Right. Did I kiss somebody?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You don't know if people are talking about you because they're not going to come up to you generally and say, you acted like an ass, because they don't care about you that much.
Right. Maybe someday you'll share your...
I'll share my bottom. Yeah. I'll share my bottom someday, I promise.
Yeah. Not the front bum. But It's something that you realize that everybody's bottom floor, the elevator goes down to different levels of the basement, and you don't have to be on the street. You can be a perfectly highly functioning alcoholic, as I would like to say I am, although a lot of people say there's no such thing as highly functioning. But you know what? I was. And my shame came that if people knew, if I said I've got a problem, then they would attribute every single mistake I'd ever made to the fact that I was drinking.
Right,
and that wasn't true.
Right.
I could screw up on my own, thank you very much. You know?
Damn it!
Yeah, exactly.
We didn't need booze for that.
No, but it helped. Who wrote the book The Edible Woman?
That was Margaret Atwood. I had to read it in high school, I remember.
Is it as dirty as it sounds, or what kind of high school did you go to?
No, I don't remember it being dirty. In fact, I remember it being boring.
Oh.
Then years later, picking it up again and going, maybe I should try this out. And then I enjoyed it. But it was so long ago. High school, Aaron. Prehistoric.
Wow. But my clumsy segue was from the edible woman into the shreddable chicken. And here's something we never do on this podcast is share recipes. I mean, we'll share tips. We'll say, oh, yeah, the air fryer. You got to do the air fryer. And we are both still team air fryer 100%. But you said, oh, my God, my brother sent me this, and it's so great. Don't look it up. I want to describe it. So the first thing I want to do is apologize to anyone who is vegan or vegetarian because they don't like us talking about chicken.
The thing my brother sent me was, first he texted me and said, do you ever eat roast chickens? Buy roast chickens? I said, yeah.
Wait, his texts sound like that too?
Yeah, they do. It's really funny. It's the font he uses.
Oh, I see.
Anyway, so I immediately thought of you, and he said, I found this way to clean a roast chicken without getting your hands messy.
Go on.
You don't know it?
No.
Good. And I tried it. I went out. I said to Derek, I am going to get a roast chicken. And I went and got one, and I tried it. And here's what you do. You put the roast chicken into a large plastic bag, like a freezer bag, Ziploc bag, or whatever. Mm-hmm. Close the bag and just start massaging and rolling and touching and...
Ooh.
It's very sensual between you and your chicken.
Oh, yeah.
You actually remove all the meat from the bones without it ever touching your fingers. Open the bag and just take tongs and pull the bones out or put the chicken wherever you want it to go. And you're done. And it's just so simple and so ridiculously easy. When I think of all the times I ended up looking like I'd been elbow deep in gelatin and smelled like a chicken.
Oh, you say that like it's a bad thing. I'm sure Derek found that dead sexy.
And the cat would follow me around the house. Yeah.
Man, I smell like a chicken. Okay.
Anyway, that's the little secret, and it's just so simple. Your bones and whatever else are in the bag. You pull your chicken out.
Oh, God. But here's the other thing, too. Whatever's left in the bag, you could easily put in a pot to make soup or whatever, too.
Whatever you like. But I just love the idea that it's just so incredibly simple, much less fussy and
You
filthy.
actually did it, and...
It was great,
Wow.
yes. I massaged and rubbed and deboned
Have you not
my
ever
chicken.
felt like that after a massage? It's just that sheet is the bag, and they're massaging you, and all the meat comes off the bones. There you go. Well, thank you for that, Miss Lisa. And if you try this, be sure and leave a comment on our Gracefully and Frankly Facebook page. Well, I don't know how we even top that for an ending for this week's show. We've gone just about everywhere, from whiskey to chicken to politics to, and shrinkflation. I'll tell you, to put a tidy little bow on this, Costco chickens are now no longer in those plastic clamshells. They're in a bag. I think that their chickens may have gotten a little bit smaller, which means maybe things are being done more humanely in the chicken farms. I don't know if there's a way to be more humane. Also, the price has never changed. It's their loss leader. The chicken you bought, I'm going to guess, was probably $12, $14.
Yes, it was.
And, of course, still $7.99 at Costco.
We should talk about Costco sometime because I have questions. I used to have a membership, and I don't anymore. And I'm not anti-Costco.
Sounds like you are.
Just
She's anti-Costco.
And Uncle Costco. We don't have the room, and we don't need bulk stuff. And I know their toilet paper and everything else. But anyway, we should talk about it sometime because I have questions.
Well, I don't have the room either. This is us condo living now. So let me tell you, Lisa, you make the room.
All right. Sorry, Cuddles. You're going to have to give us your room. On that note,
shall we away? And gosh, we're getting closer and closer to your visit. Don't forget you won't forget. August 8th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, Facebook Live with Lisa and Aaron. Get your emails into gracefullyfrankly@gmail.com and make sure you tell somebody else to join our Facebook page because that's how we spread the love.
And tell us what you'd like us to talk about.
Sure.
Or do. Or, I will be modeling my caftan, but that takes all of 18 seconds, so we have an hour.
We could do kitchen tips, but then what are we going to do for the other 55 minutes?
That's right.
I'm up at the cabin, and of course I set off the smoke detector. Of course I did, and I was just heating a frying pan, Lisa. It wasn't even anything.
Did you get to see firefighters?
No, I didn't. I opened the doors and waved the towels and stuff. Boy, were the neighbors surprised that I had no clothes on. But anyway, it all worked out.
All right, well, make sure, please, just throw a robe on, not like it's anything I haven't seen before.
Wait, you've never seen me naked.
I think if we patch together all of the times I've seen parts of you, I think I got the whole picture.
Oh, God. Another good reason not to drink, and that's the end. Bye.